During this quarter of a century I've spent on this planet, I have done many things. From living in a storage unit to becoming a father, I have done an untold amount of things. And one of these things I have done was back in 2018. I had the grand idea of going to travel across the country for the sake of a Cornish pasty. As you guys know, I live on the south coast of England, on one side of England. Well, we're going to the West Country to buy Cornish pasty. That's right, guys, we're going to Cornwall for a Cornish pasty. This journey started at midnight on the 2nd of October 2018. Now you may be wondering why. Why would I even do this? Well, as a simple 19-year-old back then who was living in his van, I just wanted to have a bit of fun. I hadn't been to Cornwall in years, and in fact I haven't been since this trip. As I drove deep into the night, roadworks became apparent. The further west I headed, the more diversions came my way. I ended up pulling over in a car park in a town called Axminster. I'd never heard of it before, but it's where I spent the night. I thought, let's get a couple of hours in, before continuing my journey in the morning, heading into Cornwall. Not that far to go now, just long enough is all I can really say, because it is very much long enough. But when we get there, we get a Cornish pasty. That's the whole point of this. I continued to head west across this beautiful country. I got to see many places that I haven't seen in years, driving down some amazing roads, heading all the way into Cornwall. I stopped off at the service station on the edge of Cornwall and picked myself up a hot chocolate. Unfortunately, they had no Cornish pasties there, which meant I had to continue my journey. I headed deep into Cornwall, and I went to the capital city, Truro. I stopped off at a Primark because previously my clothes had all been burnt by battery acid, so I had very little things to wear. I picked up a couple of nice shirts and some tracksuit bottoms, which, funnily enough, I only got rid of recently. I felt a lot more clean being in nice new clothes. And then I headed to one of the most famous locations in Cornwall, a place where Doc Martin was filmed. It's called Port Isaac. Now, I've been to Port Isaac before. I used to go on holiday there, so I know the place very well. However, I've never had a Cornish pasty from there. So when I asked about and I discovered about this Cornish pasty place, I had to go. But I didn't just pick up a Cornish pasty. Oh no. I picked up a cream tea set, 2 scones, clotted cream, jam, and a cup of tea. And then I headed to the only place I knew would be deemed worthy of trying a Cornish pasty. Doc Martin's house. I had my scones, I had the jam, I had the cream, I had a cup of tea. It was lovely. But when it all came down to it, I came to Cornwall for one thing. A Cornish pasty. By the way, the camera is balancing on the tea at the moment. The Cornish pasty. A lady told me the history of it earlier, that when the miners had their hands covered in lead to eat the pasties, they held the crust. And that was the bit you threw away. Let's dig in. I don't know what you're expecting me to say. It's just a pasty. Pre-pandemic, I did a lot of different things. I've travelled the world doing all sorts. I've been to Cornwall for a Cornish pasty. I've even been to Buxton for a glass of water. Post-pandemic, I'm a father. I have to settle down and I have to do things right. However, there is a piece of me missing. A piece where I used to travel and I used to do so many amazing things. And that is something that I want to do with this channel. I want to bring all these things that I used to do back. I want to travel the world once again, in and around my child obviously, and maybe even bring him on some journeys. I want to visit every single country before I die. I want to see more of my own country too. You see, this journey isn't over. The 9 to 5 isn't right. No one explores life anymore. And it's meant to be. I know I've only come to Cornwall for a Cornish pasty, but it's an adventure.
What people don't realise is life is most definitely about the adventure. It's about these random times that you can go travelling. It's about exploring your own country, of places you don't know, and discovering something new. For this, the Cornish Pasty, which I'm very excited to have. And as I sit in Port Isaac on the Cornish coast, I think about life, how it's changed dramatically. It's nothing like it was when I was growing up. Life's meant to be an adventure. It's not meant to be somewhere where you're just sitting, like I am right now, doing nothing. That's not what life is.